A new poll out this week suggests that state censorship is becoming more and more popular with the general public. Who'd have thought it? I've never lived in an authoritarian state, unless you count that childhood summer I spent in Athlone with my scary Aunt Siobhan. Honestly, she's the sort of woman who makes Pol Pot look a bit too laid back. I actually consider myself very lucky to live in a country in which I have the freedom to say whatever I like, because it's a rare thing. If you know anything about history, you'll understand that this is not the norm. Consider ancient Greece, the height of Western civilization. Think about all they've given us: philosophy, democracy, nanomascory. And yet even they didn't have freedom for everyone. Women were treated as second-class citizens, and most of the wealthy families kept slaves. Think about that next time you tuck into a moussaka. Our society is miraculous for its commitment to liberal values, but that also means that we need to be vigilant and ensure that these freedoms don't slip away. A poll this week by Redfield and Wilton for The Spectator magazine revealed that 40% of the British public would support government censorship of books if they were considered sexist, homophobic or racist. 40%. Now look, we do have to be a bit wary with polls, and perhaps it was a freak result. But the survey was of 1,500 people, so it wasn't exactly a small pool. Of course, very few of us approve of sexism, homophobia or racism, and the ones that do are generally contemptible. But as anyone who has spent any time on Twitter will be aware, these terms mean very little anymore. Whenever I see someone being called a racist online these days, it usually turns out to be a completely false allegation. Often it's just because they vote Tory or read the Daily Mail or shop at Waitrose. The word is now so promiscuously used that it's been reduced to a kind of catch-all insult, like the term Nazi, which used to mean someone who supported Nazism, rather than, someone who just has a slightly unfashionable opinion. Activists have said that J.K. Rowling's last detective novel was transphobic, because at one point the killer puts on a woman's coat. Is that really all it takes to be transphobic? My sister's got a male whippet that likes to sleep on her cardigan. Does that mean her whippet is a transphobe? Maybe. I'm being flippant, but you can see my point. If we can't trust each other to decide what is authentically sexist, homophobic, transphobic, racist, how can we possibly trust the state? Our current government has proposed to reform the Official Secrets Act, which could result in jail sentences of up to 14 years for journalists who publish leaked documents that are in the public interest. And these are the people you trust to censor books? No way. Growing support for censorship is a major concern, and although we still live in a free society, we can't afford to be complacent. Every time we see an attempt to chip away at our freedoms, we need to take a stand, because authoritarianism is a piecemeal process. It doesn't happen overnight. Take the government's Online Safety Bill, formerly known as the Online Harms Bill. It intends to bring in even greater restrictions on online speech, including demands that social media companies take action against users who engage in legal but harmful speech. Well, who decides what's harmful? I consider it harmful whenever I hear someone criticise the Antiques Roadshow, but I wouldn't want to see them arrested. Well, I would, but I really shouldn't get my way on that one. In Scotland this year, the SNP brought in their new hate crimes bill, which could see people prosecuted for things they say in the privacy of their own home, or playwrights dragged into court if their dramatic representations are deemed likely to stir up hatred. Their defenders say that, well, common sense will prevail, so it doesn't really matter what's on the statute books. Do these people really not appreciate the dangers of allowing the state to lock up its citizens if they decide that their speech is hateful? Do they really not see what kind of precedent this sets? We've already got a police force that routinely records non-crime hate incidents that can prevent you from getting a job even if you've done nothing wrong. The Scottish police have a database of offensive jokes they've read online. And the Communication Act in the UK sees 3,000 people arrested every year for offensive things they've said on the internet. But again, who decides what's offensive? It's just a hopelessly subjective notion. An unscrupulous future government could decide that criticism of its policies is offensive. And what happens then? Let me put it this way. When it comes to legislation, ambiguity is the last thing you want. So the next time you read about someone being arrested for misgendering someone, or being taken to court for quoting rap lyrics on Instagram, or being fined for a joke, all of which has happened in recent years, you should say something about it. Even if you don't like the person or what it is they've said, actually especially then, because that's when it's hardest to speak out. Because freedom of speech has to be for everyone. And the price we pay for living in a free society is that some people will say things we don't like. Like I say, we're lucky enough to live in a free country. And the kind of state overreach I'm describing is still relatively rare. But if it ever becomes the norm, it'll be our complacency that is to blame.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.